Welcome to the Timescales Interviews. Today, we have a very special guest, the extraordinary YouTube Doctor Who content creator, Alex Patterson. How's it going, Alex?
Good. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thanks for setting the time aside. It's a bit surreal for me because I was watching your channel all day yesterday, and it was is something very interesting in that you said, yeah, and I could do an interview with you because I subscribed to your channel several years ago. And we'll touch on that. We'll get into YouTube here a little bit. So
Thank you.
this this interview is being conducted and recorded in the United States, coast to coast. You are the first person in the Doctor Who worlds that I have ever interviewed in the United States. Everybody else has been in England. Go figure.
Go figure. Exactly. Yeah. I think that was something I was excited about in that, watching YouTube channels before I even had my own. I'd see a lot of, British Doctor Who collections and British Doctor Who YouTubers. And there was only one other channel at the time. It was Zarani Zarek. And he was, I think, based out of Canada. And he had a Doctor Who collection that looked like mine. And so he was one of the early ones I subscribed to. So I'm excited if other people can, watch my channel and get to see what a US collection looks like. And if I can be that YouTuber for somebody else, that would make me very happy.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna get into your collection too. One of the videos I saw yesterday was, have you ever wondered what an Italian Doctor Who DVD looks like? And see, that right there, that pushed buttons with me because I love stuff like that. And there's other people that they get it, that if you have not seen an Italian Doctor Who DVD, you may not speak Italian, but I think when I added that to my collection, the excuse that I used for buying something like that was that I was going to learn Italian from watching Doctor Who. Sure. Yeah,
Right.
sure. It never happened, but I've still got that DVD, and I also have some Japanese Doctor Who DVDs.
I
Uh
am jealous. Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
I wish I could find them. Yesterday, I looked for those because I wanted to show them to you today. I will find them eventually, and I will show them to you. It's
Thank
from
you.
let me see. It would have been the Chris Eccleston era. The
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
the when Doctor Who came back, there were DVD releases in Japan in Japanese. It was actually dubbed. They had all of their own actors for each character. Like there was a Japanese actress that voiced Rose, a Japanese actor that voiced Christopher Eccleston. I hope I'm right that it was Christopher Eccleston. It may have been David Tennant, but I'm pretty sure it was Christopher Eccleston. And then there were some Tom Baker episodes that were released in Japan on
Oh
VHS.
yes. Yes.
Yeah,
I've
I
seen,
have
I think
those.
it was the Revenge of the Cybermen VHS or something. That's at least what the cover looked like that I've seen
Hmm.
for some of these Japanese releases. That is so cool. Do you want to see the Italian
Yeah, yeah, you
DVD?
have it there.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
let's check
have it
that
right
out.
there. This was this was sent to me by my friend Mark from the UK. He actually had it in his collection and wanted to send it to me. So this is the Italian version of the beginning box set. You've got the first 3 episodes plus a condensed 30-minute reconstruction of Marco Polo. And one of my favorite things about it is how, well, you get this awesome guide to all of the first Doctor episodes on the inside, but the discs themselves are this lovely bright yellow design, which is
Oh,
just wild compared to, like, the monochrome cover art that you just get this. And so you have
huh.
4 discs on the inside. And it's just, I absolutely love it. So I think there is the English audio as well as a dub on here, but yeah,
Okay.
really cool. You get pictures in this. Some of them are a little bit less quality than others, but yeah, it's really cool. You have a guide to the whole first Doctor era.
Hmm. Um, I think they're also being released in German.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that there are some audiobooks that have been produced where they're read by German performers in German.
Yeah,
Oh,
you've got some
okay.
like German media books, and you'll have German dubs of the episodes. And actually, what's fun is that they have the same guy voicing multiple doctors. He's a very talented impressionist, and he does like the sixth doctor, seventh doctor, fourth doctor, whatever doctor they need him to do, he does all of these impressions. And if you can find clips on YouTube, you listen to him and you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds like a German seventh doctor. That sounds like a
Hmm.
German fourth doctor. It's so wild. So yeah, I think that because I grew up with my own US DVDs, always looking at the UK DVDs and how cool they were, I was just
Hmm.
open to like collecting all of these countries and types of releases. And like you're saying, you find ways to justify it. Oh well, I'll
Yeah,
learn some German from this or something.
sure. That's funny. Okay. Yeah, people that get this, they get it. And I remember the first time that I saw the Japanese VHS tapes. They were on a shelf in a district of Tokyo, which is called Akihabara. I'm pretty sure, and it's basically tech geek heaven in Tokyo, and I was like, you know what? I really have to get these, and there were three of them, and I still have them. So as soon as I find those, I'm going to show them to you. I may just send them to you. So
Oh my
all right,
gosh.
folks. Alex here is very popular and talented and successful as a YouTube content creator when it comes to Doctor Who. And as I mentioned, I've been one of his subscribers probably for years, and I've always been a little curious about him. And today, due to his generosity, I've managed to catch up to him, and we're going to ask him some questions. And his YouTube channel is titled The Doctor Who Guide, which leaves a lot to live up to. And it does live up to it. And it comes as highly regarded by me. So if you're watching this on YouTube, undoubtedly, you will find a link right down below the screen, and click on that. Go to Alex's channel and subscribe to that. And then click on that little bell thing too, whatever that is. Okay, so Alex, let's get directly to the celebrity here today. When did you first watch Doctor Who, and who is your doctor?
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for the kind words. I really
Mhm.
appreciate it. I first got into Doctor Who thanks to my dad. It was back in about 2007, and he was watching Netflix and discovered, I think, the first two seasons of new Doctor Who, and thought, oh, you know what? I think the kids would enjoy watching this. And so he
Hmm.
showed it to us. I believe I think that we started with Rose and watched a couple of Ninth Doctor episodes, but we dived into David Tennant first, and so he really feels like my first Doctor, and is my favorite Doctor, tied with Tom Baker. It depends on the day, sometimes down to the moment, as to who's my all-time favorite, but it's David Tennant and Tom Baker, my two favorite Doctors.
Okay, that's I hear the Tom Baker one a lot, and that one would be mine, I believe, because I think people's doctor is very commonly the first one that they saw, and
Absolutely.
I, Tom Baker was. Oh, so did you ever catch any of the episodes on PBS? I guess not, because I don't think they were still airing those in 2007.
PBS has been, like historically a great place for, really how a lot of US Doctor Who fans discovered Doctor Who, and definitely in I think this late 70s, early 80s, that's when it was, coming into the US. But I found it through Netflix, and they had a selection of classic episodes that you could watch online, but it was back in the days when Netflix would like send you the physical discs in the mail.
And that
And
red and
so,
the red envelopes.
yes, absolutely. And you'd watch them and then mail them back. And so you had a
Mhm.
queue. We had a queue for our whole family. and every fifth release would be a Doctor Who episode because that was what I would order every time. And so yeah, that's how, I felt lucky that I discovered Doctor Who that way, because I didn't feel necessarily so attached to one Doctor. I had all of them to explore, so I felt like I really got to love each of them kind of equally, and without as much bias or nostalgia toward one particular Doctor. But grew up with David Tennant, and I just fell in love with Tom Baker watching his episodes as well. So
Okay. That's interesting. I had forgotten about the Netflix mail thing. And they
right,
paid the postage also. So
yeah,
when you got the DVD, it had the return envelope. You didn't have to address anything. Postage paid, just give it to the mail carrier or throw it in the box. Yeah, that
people
was
are gonna
it.
people are gonna be watching this and going, what? Just
Yeah.
how that's so old. Like, what? You mailed DVDs? Yeah, and
Yeah,
they would sometimes arrive scratched too, so that was a
yeah.
problem.
Yeah, I do remember that. Every once in a while, one of them, because they were all used DVDs, they were shared by all of the subscribers. And I don't think Netflix would actually really carefully inspect one when they got it back to see if it was still playable. So, so some of the time you would get one and just, I mean, a blue screen or something. And I do remember the queue now also, where you had a certain amount that you could get, and you had to kind of use it or lose it. So you basically wanted to order and watch stuff as fast as you could. And
Absolutely.
and the mail would take about 1 day because they would have a distribution center in a city near you. So you could mail that disc back, and then the next day your queue, that slot is open for the next thing you want to get.
Yeah,
That
for us it was about a 3-day turnaround. And so, I remember I would, as I started collecting the VHSs or DVDs, I would go in and update the Netflix queue to be like, okay, well, I have this one now. I'll swap it out for another one that I don't have.
those were fun days indeed. We should have both bought stock in Netflix. I think it was super cheap back then.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I
and then,
wish.
yeah, and then it made some people massively wealthy, probably. Okay, so
Mhm.
here's kind of an open-ended question that I like to ask people, because some of the time you'll hear something back you didn't expect. So, who are you? Where are you from? And what type of things drive and motivate you? What do you like to do?
What a question. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's you can answer it in so many different ways, philosophically, literally.
Hmm.
But yeah, I absolutely would say that first off, I'm Alex Patterson. I'm a host of the Doctor Who Guide, 25 years old. Fun fact, I'm a triplet. I have a
Oh,
brother Tony and a sister Julia, and we're all exactly the same age.
well,
uh,
okay. See, there's my point. That's why I like to answer that question, because you hear something crazy. I don't think I've ever met a triplet before. Uh,
it's
that's neat. Now I have twins, as you know. You just met
Yep,
them.
yep.
The thing that's interesting that my wife and I have noticed is they can keep each other entertained. You know, when instead of having just one kid in the back seat of the car, you got two, they can talk to each other and play. So I couldn't imagine what it would be like to be a triplet. You always had somebody to keep you entertained and talk to.
Absolutely, absolutely. There was always somebody to hang out with. And what's fun too is especially as we grew older, we, all had very different styles, looked like, we didn't look like three identical triplets, which, so that came in handy at like social events, because you could just look like a group of three people talking with each other, like you were socializing with three different people. But nobody had to know you were all from the same house. So yeah, that's been really fun, and it's been really special to share Doctor Who with them, because they have very different favorite doctors, different opinions, and we've been watching it together since 2007. So
Wow, that's cool. That is really neat. Okay, so when you first started to use YouTube, was there something that inspired you to do that, or is it something you just came up with on your own?
it doing like making a YouTube channel was my answer to so are you going to go to college now, which was the
Okay.
question that I didn't so much get, in a pressured way from my parents, but from, just everybody in society. You get to, I turned 18. People want to know what are you doing next? Where do you see yourself, going? And so I was really just sort of thinking about the future, how I wanted to approach. I knew that I loved video editing, and I knew I loved Doctor Who. So I thought, hey, if I could combine these two things. And I've been watching a YouTube channel called Video Influencers, run by Sean Cannell, and he had kind of this video ranking academy that was in its beta testing stages. And so I remember that I went through that for probably like $300. It's probably like $3,000 now, but I got in early and went through that and really kind of learned from his channel just a lot of stuff about how to do YouTube and how it could be, down the line, a successful way to, have a career in a non-traditional way. So I thought, if I can attempt to make a living doing, talking about Doctor Who and making videos about Doctor Who, that would be amazing. So it was definitely my answer to, what about college? And I chose to go this way because I didn't find that colleges had a lot of like, social media degrees. They had a lot of like, media related stuff, but I wanted to like be on the breaking edge of social media. So I wasn't finding something that was, worth the investment for me in a traditional college route. So I went through VRA, and that's actually how I got my channel motto of grow your knowledge collection and connection.
Oh,
The
okay, that's
channel
where that came from.
Video Influencers that Sean Cannell ran, they were all about growing your influence, income, and impact with online video. And I remember emailing them and being like, hey, so I really like the format of that. Can I, do you mind if I use that with like knowledge collection and connection? They actually got back to me and said, oh yeah, that's fine, because they didn't have the patent
Nice.
on that.
Right.
But and I could do connection and collection. But it was either going to be cerebrum or, knowledge. So I went with knowledge, collection, and connection. It's a silent hard C sound, but I that's how the motto came about.
Okay. Now, do you remember your first video ever by any chance?
Yes, it was seems like yesterday, and yet such a long time ago now.
Right, right.
I made my YouTube channel in like April of 2016, but I couldn't get up the courage to post until August of 2016. And I was learning, watching all these videos about YouTube, how to do it, learning, planning, getting ready. But I knew that once I knew from the start I wanted to post weekly on Saturdays. And I knew that once I started, I probably wouldn't stop. And so that was kind of
Hmm.
stopping me from starting, because I kind of knew what the commitment would be like. So my very first video was uh, it was a Big Finish sale announcement, and I wasn't even on screen. And it was a slideshow with audio of my voice, and I was telling people about the Big Finish sale and advising people about it. And that was the very first video I ever posted, because I had that like immediate deadline. And from that point onwards, 6 years later, over 500 videos, I've kept 95% of the time to that Saturday schedule. So
Wow.
that was how I started,
Wow,
not even on
that's
camera.
right. And I do remember that. I remember the ones that just had the audio in the background. That's in fact, you're talking about summer of 16. That is exactly when I started using YouTube again. That this summer of
Oh,
16. So I guess it's not ironic that it seemed like you were new when I started following your channel. It seems like you started
absolutely.
making content at the exact same time when I started paying attention to YouTube. Because
This is
yeah, that's I didn't realize that. But yeah, absolutely. August, it would have been around June or July of 16 is when I started getting on YouTube again after many years because uh before we started recording today, I was telling you that I think I started using YouTube in 2001 or 2, way back. It was right when it started, and the video quality was terrible. Most people were still using modems. So um the stuff was choppy. You would the video would start playing and then all of a sudden it'd stop and you'd have to have patience. It's like, okay, well, it'll start going here again in a minute. And it was uh it was archaic in the fact that there was not enough bandwidth for it to actually work correctly. And the videos were short. I don't think you could do a video longer than just a couple of minutes. And then I think they increased it to 10 minutes and people were shocked. But for me, that just, it wasn't that interesting. So there was at least a whole decade or more that went by where I just flat out ignored YouTube because I didn't know that it was getting better. So if
Right?
that makes any sense. So
Yeah,
so
this is
that's interesting. I did not realize the times and dates match here.
this
Uh
is so cool for
yeah.
me because I've always wanted to like meet and talk with like a subscriber who subscribed from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And
Well, here you
so
go.
that's always fun. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much. That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
really, really encouraging back then, to have those early subscribers. It meant
Right.
so much,
Yeah.
because you're like, I don't have a lot of stuff. I'm not good yet. Like, so that was amazing that anybody
Yeah.
chose to subscribe and still is.
Well, it's probably with a different account. My subscription to your channel from Summer of 16 would have been my other one. And the one where I've started creating content myself is relatively new. But let me ask you something here. Have you seen the South Park episode where it is a spoof of Facebook, where there's a kid sitting at the computer? I don't remember the kids' names on South Park very much. I remember Kenny. He's the one that keeps getting killed. But then there's Kyle and Cartman. One of them was sitting on a laptop or a computer on Facebook, staring at the screen where it said friends and it had a 0. And he was just sitting there staring at the screen. At some point, he went and uh, saw the number ding, number 1 pop up. He had a friend, or he had a follower finally. And he got so excited that he went and told his mom that I have a friend and his name is this, and he's going to the dentist today and he has a red hat. Now, if you think about that, the early days of Facebook, it was typically you'd see a picture of just someone's head. So if they had a red hat on, you would notice that. And what else is there to talk about on Facebook except I'm going to the dentist today? It made perfect sense, but the kid was so excited. Did you see that episode by any chance?
I have not. It sounds amazing though.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Okay, it's funny. I'll find that clip and I'll try to send that to you. So do you remember the very first time you started getting positive feedback from viewers, likes, subscribes, things like that?
Oh yeah. I was very pleased, very excited. Obviously shared the news with, on Facebook, on socials with family and friends. So it was lovely to get, those initial subscriptions, and nice comments too. I remember them. I don't remember like specifically, like I can go back now and look on that first page, but I remember they were just so full of knowledge and information, and I'm just continually amazed at how much other Doctor Who fans know about this show, and it just is mind-boggling to me. And so I remember people commenting and it being like, whole paragraphs of information about Doctor Who, and I thought, oh, this is great,
Hmm.
because I always intended that the Doctor Who guide not be me, but be the channel, which would lead you to other resources, and also the community, which at the time didn't even have the name of the Who crew, but it's since been dubbed that by myself, and it's caught on. People are using it, so that's
Nice.
was really great. And I remember some of my earlier videos were Doctor Who missing episodes videos, and I was very careful to do my research on that because now to this day, they're some of my most watched videos. But I remember that any point I would add any inflection or any wording that was my own, I would get comments going, now you said this thing, which technically isn't the case. It's this, or this. And I remember getting an email early on it was like an essay had been written about the missing episodes and what I had said, which was technically somewhat correct, but like actually
Mhm.
it's more like this. And I emailed them back and said, this is great stuff. Do you mind if I copy and paste it into one long comment and credit you? so that other people can read this. I never heard back, but yeah, lovely, you know, to just have anybody interested in my stuff was really exciting and really fun. So of course you know, you remember that. And you know, I wish I knew who it was who exactly subscribed first. I'm sure it was a friend or family member, but there were also some names I didn't know, because sometimes you can see those back then, you know, who subscribed. And but people had to publicly share their subscriptions in order for you to see their names, you know, so like that. I don't know exactly who, but I would love to find out.
Yeah, there it used to be in the early days of YouTube, it was all wide open. You know, you could see, in fact, if you looked at someone else's channel, you could see a list of who followed them. It would
Yeah.
openly show all of the subscribers. I don't know if it's a good thing that they got rid of that for privacy or not. It's a shame there's not a happy place in between where you
Yeah.
could, where at least the content or channel owner could see. Because I think
Yeah.
now, technically, there was a meme going around on Twitter yesterday where it showed an older man writing down the names of his subscribers on a notebook, as in paper. That way
Yeah.
he could individually contact and thank all of them, which it was a kind and funny joke, but that's actually a good idea. You know, because if you
Yeah.
can only see who your subscribers are for 90 days and then they disappear, why not keep a backup of that data? So
Definitely. I do think you can see I do think there's a way to access that in your analytics. We'll have to explore it, and I can get
yeah,
back to you because
I found it
I
the other day. But yeah,
cool,
I think
cool.
it only goes 90 days back. And I don't have any
Oh wow.
subscribers. Well, I've got 20 or something like that. But when I saw that meme, I was thinking that that's actually a really good idea. You know, if
Yeah.
bec
Yeah.
because if there was a way, it's a shame you can't bulk message all your subscribers on YouTube. Wouldn't that be a
Yeah.
great feature? So,
That would be
okay.
amazing.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit more. I'm curious more about what you saw of YouTube when you started using it, because of the fact that that site is getting to be quite old. I think it's over 20 years old, isn't it? It
I
I think
think
it's
so.
around 20.
I think YouTube was like 2005 when it was, you know, called that. So I'm thinking it's,
Hmm,
you know, about the
Just
same age as the
under.
new series of Doctor Who. So just under 20.
Huh. Yeah, that's right. That's right, because it did start right about the time that Russell T Davies brought Doctor Who back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So have you settled in on some favorite video editing software? You've probably used more than one package.
Oh yes, yes. I currently use Adobe Premiere Pro. Um, but I had to swap to that I think about a year and a half ago, because my old laptop was on the way out, and I had been using for over a decade before that Sony Vegas Pro, and I knew that I wanted to take the opportunity to upgrade to Adobe Premiere Pro, just because I had the, you know, I have the impression that it's a much more widely used industry standard type of editing software. But because I'd gotten so used to probably 15 years of editing on Sony Vegas, I my poor family had to listen to me like every day. I'd have some problem with Premiere Pro, and I'd be going, you know, it's Sony
Mhm.
Vegas didn't used to do this. I didn't have that problem on Sony Vegas. But there are so many things that Premiere Pro can do, you know, that Sony Vegas just couldn't hold a candle to. But certain things like being able to like easily move a video track up or down, or an audio track, and swap their order. I haven't figured out how to do that on Premiere Pro yet. There's just a lot that's not
Right.
intuitive. So there was in the beginning a lot of looking up tutorials and stuff. But now I'm comfortable with Premiere Pro, and I'm enjoying using it. But you know, certain things still like on Sony Vegas, you can click anywhere on the timeline, and your playhead cursor will just go to that spot, and you'll see the frame that you clicked on. On Premiere Pro, there's this thin line that you have to move your mouse up to and click there to move your thing around on the timeline. So I've actually got a keyboard shortcut in place, the letter C for me, which is snap playhead to cursor, and I hit that instead of clicking like I used to on Sony Vegas. So yeah, I use that now, but I also use Descript, and I think you'd find it an interesting thing. Have you heard of Descript?
No, I haven't. I have not heard of Descript, but I am going to check it out since you've mentioned it.
So I really enjoy using it. It's not quite robust enough that it would, that it would replace for me, Premiere Pro and like Adobe Audition and stuff. But I love it because what it does is it basically allows you to edit your video like a Word document. So it
Really?
scans your entire video and it has the words up on the screen. It looks like a Word document, and you can select the text and cut it. You can copy it, paste it, move it around, and it'll move that subsequent part of your video around. Another thing I love about it is that it automatically hears or like highlights sections of silence in your video, and you can tell it, okay, if there's silence for more than a second or more than half a second, delete that. Because how much
Okay.
of editing is going through, especially when you're filming yourself, is going through and cutting out silence. I do it all the
Yeah,
time.
I don't
And
do it.
so
I don't
Descript,
do it
yeah,
at all.
exactly. Right. Well, it takes forever. It takes forever to,
Yes,
go through
exactly.
and do that. And
Hmm.
so Descript does that automatically. That's great. But then what I love is they have a timeline down at the bottom where, so how like normally when you have the waveforms that you're looking at for your audio, and you're like, okay, well, I know I spoke there. I'll
Hmm.
press play on that section to hear what I said, and then move my cursor to the part where I want to keep it and what I want to delete. Well, Descript shows you the words over where those waveforms are, and you can
No
click on a
kidding.
word and drag it over other words and delete those words. So
Wow.
you can literally
Okay.
see the sentences in front of you. And for me, it's so much faster because I can go, okay, that's what I was saying at this point, instead of having to press play and listen to it. So
Okay.
that's something that I've really been enjoying. Again, it's on its way to becoming a fully fledged proper program. And there are ways in which I want them to improve it, but I know they'll get there. And so I've been using that, and it's been helping me to save time, especially for things like podcasts or interviews when, there's just a lot to go through. It saves a lot of time for me.
Okay. All right. That's very interesting. And I appreciate you sharing that, because I am going to go try that out. And I have to congratulate you on Premiere Pro, because your experience with it isn't quite like mine. What what happened was, when I did the first interview with somebody, I had contacted a Doctor Who author and said, "Can I interview you? I'm going to start a YouTube channel," and they said yes. I went ahead and I freaked out, got all nervous, and then
Yeah.
realized that I'm not going to get myself out of this now. And then went ahead and did the recording with them, and then I had the data. I had the content right there on my drive,
Hmm.
this big old huge
Hmm.
file. And I thought, now it is time to get serious and become a video editor. And it did not work well for me. I went and got Premiere Pro.
Yeah.
Let's just say this: I don't typically curse. Okay.
Mm.
Premiere Pro was not simple. And I
Oh, no.
actually I unsubscribed from the free trial. And I'm glad. I was going to buy it. I was going to pay that hefty price tag for it. But
Yep.
I didn't see the point in doing that if I'm not smart enough to learn how to use it. Now, I know that if I were to dedicate the proper time, anybody can learn anything that they want to if they set their mind to it. I think I just lost my patience with it. So what
Yeah.
ends up happening now is, after I interview somebody, we don't really worry about editing much, because uh, I never intended for the our YouTube content to be very professional at all. So I do envy you, because I can see and I know the amount of work that has to go into your content, and it's something I'm not willing to do at this
I
point. So
I feel like in some ways I know you are a much happier person as a result of the choices you have made.
yeah,
You would appreciate just like how much complaining my family had to hear about me going, I cannot believe this is so unintuitive. This doesn't make sense. I went in and did so many keyboard shortcuts because I was like, this does not make sense the way it's set up. And like there's so many tutorials that I watched people explaining how to do this, how to do that, how to do the other thing, and I still haven't scratched the surface. But I think you can appreciate. It was a very stressful time swapping video editing programs because I felt like I knew nothing on Premiere Pro,
Mm.
and I'm like, here it is. This is like my trade. I do video editing. I do website building, but like I was like, I'm a very good video editor on Sony Vegas. I am a beginner level on Premiere Pro, and I had deadlines to meet. I had all this stuff, so it was a very stressful time. But I'm glad I'm through it to the point where like I can make videos and know that I'll hit my deadline.
Okay. Okay. Now, you had mentioned something about the scenario of, okay, are you going to go to college now? Do you recall having a mentor or someone special that provided encouragement for you to do what you've decided to?
Absolutely. That credit goes to my family. I mean, they were just, really so supportive, and my dad especially. He One of my early sets that I'm sure you saw back in the early days. It was in like his half of our parents' room. Like he built that set. He was also doing some YouTube, but we made it so that like you could take stuff off of the shelves. I put out all my DVDs on my shelves there, and like to the point where he would give up part of his room so that I could have a set that was always ready to go and stuff. So he was just very supportive, and has been of just helping me film and giving me just support to be able to do this. It's not an overnight success sort of thing. So I definitely needed that safety net and support. And then my brother Tony and sister Julia would just always have my back and were so supportive, and really just didn't make me feel like they both went to college, but like they didn't make me feel like I was doing anything less cool or less important by taking the route that I did, and I really appreciated that.
Okay, that's really nice. That is awesome to hear. Seems like everything that you have to say goes along with a common theme, positivity. I that's what I get from your channel, and that's what I get from you. And I think that that's why I've watched it for so long.
Thank
Uh,
you.
yeah, it's a good way to unwind because that when you go to your channel, you're going to smile. It's guaranteed.
Thank
So here,
you. That is
yep.
the best type of review I could ever hope to get.
Well, you've earned it. And thank you for the countless I don't know if it's, yeah, I guess it has been hours, the countless hours that I have spent watching your channel. It's always something pleasant to put on when having some spare time and wanting
Yeah,
nice positive content like that.
thank
um
you.
so let me ask you about two different words here. Have you ever been referred to by anyone as talented or genius?
So never genius,
Okay.
which
Okay.
that I was expecting that. But I would say I have fortunately, by kind friends and family, been called talented before. People are very uh, kind about my video editing, or whenever I perform music, or I play the bass and piano and sing, and so like people have been very kind and called me talented there. So yeah, I've talented, yes. Genius, no. That's We're
Okay.
yet to get there. Yet to
Okay.
get there.
Now you sing, play the piano and the bass.
Yes, I'm
Wow,
not like
that's cool.
insanely great at those, but I can keep up, and I enjoy it a lot. I especially love bass guitar because it's the closest to a rhythm instrument that I've played. I would love to learn the drums, but that would be quite a noisy upfront process for the rest of my family.
Right.
So I'm always like getting into the rhythm of songs and grooving along. So bass was fun because I got to, be a rhythm instrument
Now
and play on
there's a
everything.
have you seen the YouTube channel where the guy is doing bass battles with people all over the world?
I
Uh
don't I haven't yet.
it's
That sounds amazing.
check it out. Yeah, it's I'll find a link and send you one. It's really funny. He one of the titles of one of the videos is "This 8-year-old bassist must be stopped or something like that, and they'll go back and forth doing a bass battle. There's a bass player in Japan that is absolutely unbelievably talented. I'll send you that. If you like bass, you would love those. And I think that
Yeah.
they've just started coming out, or at least the algorithm has just started deciding that I want to see that, because it's just
Right.
started showing it to me. But it looks like a channel that has really fresh content on that. So, and then the piano, you're able to play with two hands, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, that's
And feet too.
and
Yeah.
feet, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it seems as if the one of the major hurdles in learning to play a piano is getting to the point that you can use two hands. I
Yes.
figured that out the hard way, but that's a long story for another day there. So, okay, so aside from Doctor Who, uh, do you have any other hobbies or activities that you enjoy in life? And I think we just hit on a couple of them there. Music.
Yeah. Music, absolutely. My whole family is very musical. My brother's an amazing guitarist. My sister's way better at piano. My dad is great at piano as well and singing. So it was always just a very musical environment, and so that's fun whenever I get to play with them. But I also enjoy, I would say, another hobby I have is baking, and also watching shows about baking and YouTube channels
Mhm.
about baking. But
Okay.
I love the Great British Baking Show. It's amazing. It's like, it's again, that's sort of like, it's a very positive, fun thing for me to enjoy. And so I've since then, gotten into baking and stuff. And so I do a killer chocolate chip banana bread. I made a pecan pie for the first time for Thanksgiving that turned
Oh,
out great.
nice.
I used maple syrup instead of corn syrup, and it turned out incredible. So that was really fun. And it's an upcoming video on the channel, will be me attempting to make what ended up being an 11-inch tall Dalek out of cake and candy on the outside. It was, I kid you not, like, it was 12 pounds in total and
Oh,
turned out
what?
great. It was like 9 layers of cake tall, covered in candy. It was amazing. So I'm so excited for that to come out.
That would be hilarious.
A friend of mine, Alex Goddard, is actually a head chef and a Doctor Who fan. So I got him to judge me like they judge on the Great British Baking Show. So we'll see. I can't wait for that to come out. Lots of
Well,
editing for that one
yeah,
though.
okay. Well, that's a very specific area of cooking is baking. That's a side category on its own, and I've never really gotten into baking. I had a friend who started a restaurant, and it sounded like so much fun. I told him, "Hey, I want to come work at it and see what it's like to start a restaurant." And I found out, oh my God, it's hard work. It
Oh
is
yes.
not easy at all, but I got what I wanted. I learned from him. I learned how to cook, and that was really helpful during lockdown.
I
Did
bet.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you were you guys back during lockdown when it was too dangerous to go to the grocery store? Were you guys cooking at home more?
Oh yeah, I mean, we did a lot of cooking at home anyway prior, so that gave us, kind of a leg up. We also were able to get our groceries delivered too, so
Yeah.
that was, we get the food, and cook it ourselves. We actually have done, my sister and I are doing now regular batch cooking on the weekends. We actually made this morning like 9 meals that will freeze and then take out during the week because it saved us a lot of time. And so yeah, that definitely, lockdown helped us hone our cooking skills, and
Yeah.
also the batch cooking so that we could have more time during the week.
Right. And I think it got everybody addicted to having everything delivered. That just got to be way too easy right there.
Oh
So
yes.
uh yeah, lockdown actually did have a couple of silver linings. It forced everybody to have to learn how to use Zoom. I mean,
Yes. Yeah.
that's a positive thing. So okay.
Absolutely.
Um and in fact it's made a lot of the Doctor Who professionals way more accessible to
Yes. Yeah.
these days. Once everybody actually, I was kind of joking when I said that it forced everybody to learn how to use Zoom, but actually that's a really good thing because it has helped those of us that like to interview people.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if lockdown had not happened, um, if the world of professionals would have opened up quite like it seems to have in the last few years. I wonder, what do you
I
think?
agree. I definitely think it's made it a lot easier because I don't know what I would have done otherwise, to so easily be able to have interviews, to have it recorded. It's just great. It gives you that common touch point of like, oh yeah, we'll do it on Zoom, rather than having to like, I don't know, do it over Skype or
Right.
Facebook video chat and have some separate software recording your screen and stuff. It just it and, and it comes out so much better on Zoom. And I love when I'm interviewing people, it's just like, oh, I'll send you a Zoom invite. And it's just everybody knows
Yeah.
it and is comfortable with it.
Right.
So
Right. One thing that I think that I have to predict is that 10 or 20 years from now, everybody's going to look back at these recordings and go, why weren't they using 4K cameras? Think
yeah.
about it. Let's say that one of us got a response from Tom Baker's agent this
Yeah.
afternoon that says Mr. Baker has agreed to your interview. Okay, imagine if that happened. Then we record it with Zoom at this resolution. We would be
Yeah.
kicking ourselves 10 or 20 years from now. It's like, why? Why didn't I record Tom Baker in 4K? But I
Right.
went to upgrade my camera, and I
Hmm.
haven't even bothered yet because I'm thinking, you know what? This may be too clear. I don't know if I want people to see me this clear, but I sure wish the people I'm interviewing would get a 4K camera. So, what,
Yes.
where do you draw the line? So,
Exactly.
now, looking at the range of content that you have produced, it includes everything from live broadcasts to unboxing videos. Those are fun. I think you may be the very first person I ever saw unboxing something for Doctor Who. Again,
Wow.
yeah. And then you also have documentaries. And what I'm wondering, and modern breaking news. I was watching some of that last night, and you were having so much fun that it was just contagious. And what is your process of prepping for producing all of this content? Do you schedule? Are you a diehard scheduler?
I I wish that I was. I think I'd have a much more successful or less stressful time of it. So for certain content, yeah, I absolutely will schedule out ahead of time. I have certain monthly videos that come out every month, so I know that I'll be preparing for those. And then I generally, I'll know if merchandise is coming out to plan time to do an unboxing. Basically, it means I have to drop everything and try and get the unboxing filmed as soon as possible so that the video can be up as soon as possible. But I also, with the breaking news, I just kind of have to be ready at the drop of a hat, or the drop of a multicolored scarf to be able to, um, you know, film a video as soon as possible. And those, I mean, I'm always so excited about Doctor Who news and merchandise. Like, it's none of my excitement is fake for the camera. I am easily that excited in real life. That's what you're seeing. That's what you're, I've always just found myself really, really excited by Doctor Who news. Like, the amount of excitement I get from like, oh, this new audiobook is coming out in June of next year, is like, it's just
Next
something
year.
that's like ridiculous. And yeah, I'm so excited. And so when news comes out, my hands will be shaking as I'm trying to edit this video, because I know that, like, A, I'm excited, but B, I'm like, I know that every second that passes is a less opportunity for the video to do well on YouTube and stuff. So, I'm really trying to like hone my news breaking editing process to get that video up as soon as possible. So a lot of it does take me by surprise, but the more planning I do, the more happy I am, because it saves me less stress in the moment. So and
Wow.
there's also just a lot of like, what I wasn't planning to ever do like a cooking or baking video, but just the 59th came up and I was like, I kind of want to make a Doctor Who cake for the 59th. And I was watching Great British Baking Show. I'm like, I would love to do a spoof for this. So yeah,
There you go.
the greatest not so British baking show in the galaxy is what I came up with.
That's
for the
that's
title.
gonna be hilarious. So when are we gonna get to see that? Maybe next weekend or something?
It will be coming out in December at some point,
Okay.
as soon as I can get it edited. But there was, I think, like 7 hours of footage of me.
Oh
It took
my
me a
God. Well,
long time to bake this cake, and I was filming the whole time. So,
wow.
uh,
That's,
yeah,
that congratulations to you for dealing with a schedule. Because I have a little bit of a theory here about podcasts. There have been so many Doctor Who podcasts. I mean, I think it's in the thousands. I'm. Do you think that there could? And I'm talking about defunct and current. Do you think that if you
yeah,
include the closed ones and current, that it's in the thousands?
yeah. I would say
Okay.
technically you could get definitely up to the 2000 to definitely be able to say thousands, for sure.
Okay.
And you look on Audible, you see so many of them. But I've got to give a shout out to the Big Blue Box podcast. It's a couple of my friends run it, and my favorite YouTuber ever, the Geek's Handbag. He's one of the people who runs it, and so gotta give him a shout out. Love that
And
podcast.
what's that one called again?
The Big Blue Box podcast.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm subscribed to that. Is it audio or video? It's been a while since I've seen it.
it's audio. It's audio.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, when somebody starts a podcast, I have never really actually done it because once I think that when somebody starts a podcast, they give themselves an unpaid job and a schedule. So you were saying that you try to release something every weekend, and
Yeah, every
that
Saturday.
is, see, now that's some pressure to deal with. And I have watched podcasts, or the typical podcast originally was audio. Now people are doing them in video and calling them podcasts, which I
Yeah,
guess I guess it's okay. But I have seen podcasts that start up just raging, and they are absolutely excellent. Everybody is so excited. And then over time, they just kind of like get to where you can tell that they're running out of steam. And then it ends. And that has happened with so many. There's so many Doctor Who podcast carcass websites laying around all over the internet that it's really sad. And
yeah,
I think that people reach a point where they realize that they have given themselves an unpaid job and they're tired of doing it, and then the podcast ends. So
yeah,
I have to tell you, I admire your ability to keep on track, because it sounds like you've got years now where you
yeah,
have been on track and producing content based on the schedule that you gave to yourself.
yeah.
That's
And
that's dedication is what it is. So
thank
congratulations
you.
for that.
Thank you. Well, I knew that if I was gonna do a weekly schedule about something, it needed to be something that I was like really passionate about, because you're
Hmm.
right, you are giving yourself an unpaid job. And it, like, especially for, podcasts, but also video channels, I've seen them come and start and take breaks or stop. And over the years, it's, I am proud of, the over 500 videos I posted. And I've most, like 95% of the time, I've hit that weekly deadline. And it's caused me to make so many more videos than I ever would have. And I definitely recommend to anybody who's trying not to burn out on this very busy path, that you do batch shoots so that you're not up against a weekly deadline. And I say this as partially a hypocrite, because there are many weeks still where, I come Monday, I'm like, okay, what's my video going to be? And I need to get it done by Saturday. But that's very stressful, because you end up, up against a deadline, stressed about getting it done, and you can sometimes put out stuff that you're not as happy with, or that you could have made better with another week of editing. So
Okay.
doing batch
Okay.
shoots is how I love to get ahead, because it lets me, film a bunch of videos at the same time, and it's so much easier to just edit a video per week rather than like script, research, film, and then edit a video every week. So
Okay.
yeah, it's because it's a lot of work. It's really
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Now, well, yeah, because you're doing it right, and someday I hope to be able to learn how to edit. And what I keep thinking is, it's okay to release this in its unedited format, because
Yeah,
it's really about the actual content, and not about entertainment. But I keep telling myself someday I'll learn how to video edit and then go back and take these raw original files and make them better. I don't know that
yeah.
I'll ever do it. I might, but I keep, that's what I keep telling myself, that
Hmm.
I'm going to do that. But with you, you're saying batch shoots. What exactly does
Yeah.
that mean?
So it means instead of filming and creating videos one at a time, where you're, setting up your tripod, you're setting up your lighting, you're setting up your camera, and then you're filming one video and taking it all down and editing that.
Mhm.
It means that you're filming 4 videos at a time or 5 videos at a time. So if they need scripting, if they need researching ahead of time, then you get them all ready to go, and then you film 4 or 5 videos in a row. So you set aside a chunk of time, maybe it's on the weekend or an evening, and you film 4 videos at once. And that saves you time because you're not setting up your camera, taking your setup down
Right.
5 times, you're just doing it once. And so then you have 5 videos to edit, and you can get ahead of yourself on your production schedule, so that you might still be making 1 video a week, but you've got 3 videos in the can, as it were, 3 videos ready to go, scheduled out ahead of time. That is so much less stress, because if you need to take a week off for whatever reason, if you just want to, you can do that, and it's not like you've missed an upload.
Okay. All right. Very interesting. We're gonna step away from the YouTube thing here and touch on a few more questions, and then we're gonna come back to it, because I have the big question,
Mm.
that I know that everyone is already starting to wonder about, and I can't wait to get the answer on that one. So now and speaking of, when you speak with Doctor Who authors, or professionals, I've learned that there's a downside in entertainment, which is called rejection. Okay. Now, that's basically where somebody auditions for a part or they submit a story, either to be turned down or just flat out ignored. And it's the professional industry of acting and writing isn't always rosy and perfect, and there is negativity that you do have to deal with, and it seems to be universal in those regards,
Mm.
because I've never heard an answer otherwise when I ask somebody that question. So have you had negative experiences in the process of content creation, and if you have, how did you deal with it?
Absolutely. Yeah, it like the hard thing I think about YouTube is that there's no hiding as far as how well your video does. The number of views that you get, the number of comments, it's out there for everybody to see. So it
Mhm.
sometimes feels like the videos you work the hardest on get the least amount of views, and then
Yep.
unexpectedly videos you barely put anything into get, the most amount of views. So that level of rejection is always so clear, because you're like, okay, well, my video did this well on YouTube. But like, I think that people also assume the reverse, that like if I'm not getting views or enough views, then my content must not be good. And like, that's just such a myth. There's so much involved in the, it's not all up to the YouTube algorithm. But the way that it works is not, it's not like there's this super smart computer that's watching your video going, no, that's terrible, I don't want to show it to anybody. It it has a lot to do with how much your and watch time your video gets initially, and if you don't have a lot of subscribers, or if the random mix of new viewers and subscribers that the algorithm has chosen to show your video to. If they don't like it enough, then it doesn't do well. So you know, on the one level, it can, your video can very clearly be rejected on that sense. On the other level, I've come to realize that, you know, that's what it got, and you know, maybe something unexpected will get more acceptance. But yeah, there's definitely been also people very free to share their opinions on your videos, your quality, what you're doing, and there's definitely an aspect of curating that. And I think that if you can have somebody else go through your negative YouTube comments, that'll do wonders for your self-esteem, because it's hard to
Right.
go through them yourself, and things stick with you, and you know, so that would be my advice, is you can have somebody go through your comments for you. That would make me, you know, a lot happier.
Do
I am lucky though. I do get negative comments, but so much of my comments are positive, and
okay.
I'm so lucky that, like, in the types of people who generally watch my videos, they're just so positive as well, and I'm just glad that, like, my positivity has attracted other people who are positive and excited about Doctor Who and stuff. So I really do count myself lucky in that aspect as well.
Okay, you know, you're really almost answering the next question here. And what I'm wondering is, today you can actually set it where you have to approve the comments, and
Yes.
it was not always like that. In fact,
Oh,
do you remember back in the dark days when YouTube was just so full of hatred and profanity, and you would post a video and it seems like just anybody, I don't even know if they had to have an account or anything, anybody could post comments, and you had the worst language that I've ever
mm,
seen anywhere in my life on the internet
yeah,
was
yeah,
on YouTube, and you couldn't take it off of there. You know, that's actually another one of the things that really turned me off. And
yeah,
by me saying the worst language, I'm not talking about just some profanity. I'm talking about words that I would never utter myself, because I wouldn't want to hear myself saying something like that. And
mm,
it's just YouTube just allowed it, and
yeah.
and it was absolutely atrocious. So I guess it goes without saying that you do agree with the fact that we should be able to pre-approve people's comments on the videos, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, what I did was I I was like, this is gonna look weird in my search history, but I Googled, like, you know, list of bad words. And then I'm like, you know, covering my face, my eyes, as I, you know, highlighted it all. It was A to Z. And I copied and pasted it into my you know, words that aren't allowed in my comments filter. So actually I
Really?
find a and so that's how I filter my comments. I also have it set now. You know, that was back when you could filter only by specific words, but I now filter by, like, you know, mostly pre-approval. If there are plenty of people who you can just approve that, like, any comment by this person gets through. So I try and do that as well to save me time. But I like to just go through my comments and pre-approve them so that I know, because I've always wanted my content to be family friendly. You know, Doctor Who's
Okay.
a family
Okay.
show. That's an important
Right.
value to me. So I didn't want people, like, coming across, you know, bad words or, you know, inappropriate comments in my videos. So I do try and, you know, moderate them as much as possible. And, you know, some people do get mad, don't like that I am so positive. And I mean, I joined YouTube back in the days of the Stephen Moffat era, and I think people always assume that, like, the current era is the worst era that's ever been, and it was so much better back in the, you know, days they just so happened to be watching Doctor Who for the first time, right? And so, but I remember joining during the Stephen Moffat era, and there was just so much negativity back then as well, and it. I remember thinking to myself, you know, I don't want to be just like one of those other negative channels. And so it was a really intentional choice for me to just, you know, be who I was, which was always like, it would seem like I would watch an episode and I'd love it. And then I'd go online to see what other people thought of it. And it would, like, really bring me down. I'm like, I enjoyed it. What was your
Yeah.
problem with this? And, you know,
Yeah.
you know, it would make me so sad. So I always wanted to keep my channel positive. And, you know, some people, like, I've gotten hate for that. Some people do not like
Yeah,
that. And I'm like, I just because, and also some people think that they're entitled to just be incredibly negative in my comment section, and for that to be there. And I'm like, no, like, I've worked hard on this video. Other people have made it a success by watching it. And that doesn't give you an automatic right to share your message. Your comments get shown along with my video. So
right, right,
it's like the way YouTube is built, it's not a democratic process of, I get to choose what comments go along with my video and get that platform. If you want to share and make your own platform for negativity, you have the ability to do that,
there you
and
go.
that's where you can share your
Yeah,
opinion. But
there
for
you
me,
go.
I don't think that I am entitled to any comment on any video. If they want to delete that comment, go for it, because it's their channel and that's how YouTube is set up. If that changes, that changes. But for me, it's like, no, I've worked hard to make a video
Right.
and people tend to be negative on like videos that have nothing to do with X, Y, or Z. Or it's like, I'm talking about a steelbook right now. I'm not talking about like what you thought of the episode, right?
Right,
I'm
right.
talking about the merchandise. And if you look at merchandise reviews, it drives me nuts because people will be putting their thoughts on the episode. It'll be like a 1-star rating because they didn't like the episode. And I'm like, no,
Right.
we're talking about the piece of merchandise right now.
Yeah,
You want to leave a
yeah.
review, go to thetimescales.com.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like that's where and hopefully leave good reviews. But
Hopefully, yeah.
that's the spot. That's the spot. So yeah, that was my little rant on comments and stuff. Because
Well, I appreciate it. I'm glad to hear that. And moderation is something where I really don't know where to draw the line. And when the timescales was going to close and we saved it, the old way seemed to have been largely unmoderated. There was a lot of, well, I wouldn't say a lot. There was some profanity on it. And
Mhm.
me, personally, I don't really care. Profanity doesn't bother me that much because I can just ignore it.
Mhm.
But like you said, Doctor Who is a family friendly show, and there could be kids reading it. So recently, I had to go through and rewrite the rules and put in there, you know, at least I think it says it in there now, finally, to please not use profanity or something like that. It says something
Yeah.
about how instead of using profanity, there are better words that you can use. And I don't, I shouldn't say this, but I don't read reviews. So I don't have time. And if you look at the
Yeah,
time
that's the
scales,
thing.
it says very clearly that it is a ratings and a review site. So the review is
Yeah.
optional. And when I use it myself to figure out what I want to read or watch, I just look at the rating.
Yeah.
But that has a downside because if somebody is on there cussing and saying something that no one would want on a family friendly site, then
Mm.
I kind of wouldn't see it. So what we're going to do is we're probably going to put something on there where users can flag a post, that because
Yeah.
there was actually something that was really terrible. Somebody had said something really super terrible. I think it was either somebody did do that or somebody made a fake screenshot to make it look like somebody did it, because
Uh,
I was never able to find the content. And when somebody writes a review, the server log keeps the original version, and there wasn't one. So
oh,
I don't know exactly what
wow.
happened, but it was pretty atrocious. So I would have to say I'm for moderation. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's and I admire you for doing that with your channel, because now I didn't know you were doing that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now that's even more of a guarantee to me, that when I go to your channel, I'm not going to be exposed to negativity in my
Right.
spare time that I've elected to go uh, seek out this content. So that's
Right.
good.
And I
I'm glad to hear that,
thank
Alex.
you. And I try my best. I'm not saying anything doesn't get past me, but I do try to keep it that way. And like I say, so many people have gotten the memo and already do that. So
Okay, so this is the last less than pleasant question for today, I promise. But I actually really had I wanted to go here, and because I'm curious,
okay.
and
Yeah.
I hope the answer is what I'm hoping to hear. Have you ever
Mhm.
seen somebody in Doctor Who fandom being bullied online, or has it happened to you?
Yes and yes, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen it happen to other creators. It's not fun. I've seen it happen to especially um yeah, like some younger creators. And that was really sad to see. It's like, come on, that's I mean, I don't know their age. It's the internet. You know, can't everybody theoretically is supposed to be 13 or older on YouTube. Otherwise, you're
Right.
supposed to be on YouTube Kids, but I do not think that that's the case. I think there's plenty of people saying they're 13. So this was a young kid, and people just really, I don't know what it was, but they just ganged up and were leaving nasty comments and saying that he should stop doing it, doing posting videos. And I it did stop him from uploading videos, and that
Oh
was a real
man.
shame to see. And I was like, it's a kid, like, you know uh, pick on somebody your own size is essentially where it's going from there. I'm like, why?
Right.
This is a kid, that's not okay. And then myself, I have experienced some like people used, like, copied my a profile image of one of the skit characters that I do, and they were messaging other people, random people, saying really nasty, foul things. And thankfully, for the most part, people could tell that that wasn't me because of
Okay.
you know the
Good.
other type of the just the type of person that I generally am online. And but like there were people that were sent me some very, like, indirectly threatening things, and just videos. And I got to say that it was a very dark time, and there was just a lot of, I think, jealousy, and it was really hard. But what I remember is, and the people who were telling me about that stuff, the people who would join the Google Hangouts chats that were, be hating on me and planning what they would post next. And they would send me screenshots and keep me up to date. And, like, that was really nice of them to do. They didn't have to do that. And those people, you know who you are. They really helped me get through that, because even though it was hard to read those comments and see what was going on, it helped me know, what channels to flag for impersonation, to know what was going on. And so that was really hard and really tough. But thankfully, that stopped. It's no longer happening. And
Okay.
that was several years back now. So yeah,
Okay.
there's a dark underbelly, and
Yeah.
but I'm count myself so lucky that, like, that's for me as a white man on the internet. I can't imagine trying to be a woman or a person of color, and be a YouTuber. And that I consider myself on the whole quite lucky to have gotten through it. But the
Okay.
stuff I have experienced was quite dark.
Okay. Well, and I didn't want to hear yes and yes. But then there's reality, and I congratulate you on the fact that you have dealt with that positively. It sounds like you may have learned, and it may have made you stronger. One thing I
Yeah.
don't understand is why on earth there are such mean and terrible people in Doctor Who and fandom. I say
Yeah.
fandom, and I don't
Yeah.
understand it. I don't know if that's everywhere. I've had other hobbies where I did not see that kind of stuff. And do you use the big? I think this was another question, but let's get this topic over with and move on. Do you use the old legacy forums by any chance?
I was once on, I think, I don't know if I ever got into the Gallifrey One forum, but it was I think Gallifrey was in the title, and it was a forum. And oh my
Okay.
gosh, was that a dark place to be? It
Yeah.
was like, it felt like, I don't know, like, almost uh, the Reddit of the for the Doctor Who community, in a way, where, like, if
Right.
there were some very helpful informational aspects to those forums, you could learn a lot on them, but the underbelly was really dark, and people were
Yeah.
just, like, really
Yeah.
hating on it. So And people also got into a lot of fights too on
Yeah,
there as
yeah,
well, as I recall. I don't think I
right.
ever had the courage to post in there, but just you know, I
Okay.
would just lurk.
Okay. A lurker on there. Yeah, it's you are describing the exact forum that I was talking about. And I'm actually not even going to mention it because I don't want to give it any promotion. And the
Yeah,
thing is, it's not just these groups of people that think it's funny to gang up on somebody and try to humiliate them or whatever it is that they seem to be getting pleasure from. It's the forum administrator allowing it
yeah.
is what's just disgusting. So all right, awesome. I'm glad you don't hang out on there. So now I know I'm not missing anything because I don't hang out on there either. There's no way I'm not one back there.
Could not
So
pay me.
yeah,
Could not
right.
pay me to go
Oh
there.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, here we go. We're getting to the question. Um, let's see. Let's do this other one. Then we're going to get to the question. Are you a collector by any chance? I
You know,
say that to
I
someone with a massive collection behind them.
I dabble. I dabble.
Okay. Okay. So
Yes.
let's touch back on your YouTube Doctor Who content a bit more. Are you one of these elite? Well, I shouldn't say, shouldn't use that word. Are you one of these monetized content producers? As in, yes, I'm asking you, does your channel make money?
How do you make money has been the eternal question that comes
Right,
along with YouTube, and
right,
I've gotten very used to answering it. But I believe that it's important to be open and about like what you make for money and you know the whole finance side of it, so that we can all like learn and grow and you know. So I'm actually gonna, for the first time ever in this interview, share pretty exactly what I get and make from Doctor Who, if you're good with that.
You know,
Because
I'm
I
absolutely good with that. And in fact, here, let me mention something else. Yes, this is going to be really good. There's a channel that I follow where there's a YouTube musician named Mary Spender. And I'll go ahead and put a link down to her channel. And she's very open with getting millions of hits. And her and a friend of hers did the most excellent guitar cover of the Dire Straits song Sultans of Swing that I've ever heard. In fact, I think it's better than the original. And she has been going into mistakes that people can make to lose your monetization. And she'll actually show. She had a video where it got 1 million hits and she got like 78, I guess they call it pence in, in the UK, 78 cents. And it was
oh
because
yeah.
she advertised her own product. So I
Oh,
have been watching that, but I don't think I've ever heard a Doctor Who content creator
right.
answer something like this. So
Right.
please
So
feel
the
free to
first
elaborate.
Absolutely. So the first area that everybody thinks you're making money hand over fist with is YouTube AdSense, and that's just not the case, as you'll see. So AdSense can change based on what type of content you create, what type of keywords you use, because advertisers will pay more money to have their ads in front of certain keywords and stuff. So I can just share what my experience is, what my current you know, rate of getting money to views is going to be. That's not going to be a universal experience. For some people, it might be more. For some people, it might be less. So right now, I have on the channel I recently passed 700,000 views on all of my videos. So
Wow. Nice.
yeah, thank you. I'm excited about that. About half of the time for those views, I was monetized. So I was very lucky that, you know, I got enough subscribers to the point where I could turn on monetization. But then there were a couple of adpocalypses, and YouTube changed how many subscribers you needed to have before you could be monetized and how much watch time. So for about half of those views, I had been monetized because I got up to I think it's 1,000 subscribers now you need to be monetized on YouTube, and
Yes.
4,000 hours of watch time. So
Right.
I I got demonetized when that first hit, and then I got back up to that point, and I've been monetized for about 2 years now.
Okay.
And so half of those views, 350,000 of those views were monetized. How much money? I just want to, do you think that I made from 350,000 monetized views?
How much do I think?
Yeah, how much do you think? Just go with, go with your gut, because obviously, I'm leading you in a direction here, but
Yeah. Um, I haven't looked into it much because I'm so far away. I've got the 4,000 hours of views, but I need like 978 more
oh,
subscribers
good
or
for
something.
you.
But
Wow,
well,
good for you on
yeah,
the
I've got
watch
all
time.
three of the criteria except the subscribers, and I don't
Wow.
know what the solution to that is. But I guess time at the rate it's going, it'll take like 12 years or something to get to 1,000. But okay, if I had to guess, how much did you make? $4,500.
4,500. So I have made $365.36 to date
Oh, I was off by a whole digit.
for 6
Okay.
years. That'll pay a lot of bills, right? So
Yeah.
right now, what it currently is at is, for every 4 views I get 1 penny. So,
You
you can
probably
do the
worn out
math.
a computer worth more than that.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
oh yeah,
computers can be worn out, as you know, right?
oh, absolutely, yeah, yes, they
Wow.
can.
Okay.
So I'd need 40,000 views to get $100, 400,000 views to get 1,000,
Right.
4 million to get 10,000. Now, by the time I have a video with 4 million views on it, then that ratio might go up, but that's just what my current AdSense ratio is. So I hope that helps dispel some myths, but also, it
Okay.
could be, depending on the category, what types of videos you make, it could be more than that. Right
Okay.
now, I have one patron on Patreon. Thank you so much, Gary Contois. Shout out to you. You're amazing. And I get $25 a month from Patreon. Over the 6 years that I've had Patreon, I've had, patrons support me for a little while, and then for various reasons, financial reasons, they've come and gone in their support. But over the past 6 years of Patreon, I've made $1,076. So again,
Okay.
not paying a lot of bills, but that's a lot better than the AdSense, right? And then for Amazon, now we come into my most common method of bringing in income is Amazon affiliate income, and that's when I have thankfully, I think they don't tell you the criteria for like what approves you for their program, so you just have to keep trying, seeing at different levels of subscribers. I think I was around 1,600 when I applied to the affiliate program and got in. So I don't know what their levels are for, approval, but thankfully, thanks to the Who Crew, I got approved as an Amazon affiliate. And what that means is, whenever people click on my links and order something on Amazon at no extra cost to them, I get a 1 to 5% commission on whatever they buy within the next 24 hours.
Mhm.
And so with that income, I've made, let's see, $61 last year and $74 this year. And that's something that can scale, though. So I'm hopeful for that to become a much larger source of income. It just you need more people to regularly shop with your links. So that's also a thing. But I also do Amazon video reviews. You can make video reviews of products. I post my Doctor Who product reviews on Amazon,
Mhm.
and if people watch those and then buy that product, I get a 2
Oh, I didn't know that.
to
I didn't know
10%
that.
commission. Yeah, it's great. I've as being an Amazon influencer, I'm able to do that. And
Mhm.
so I've made this year, I make about $40 a month from Amazon video reviews. I made $467 this year, and I made $408 last year from those Amazon video reviews. But that's my kind of way that I've made money. So this is still very much a side gig. But I'm hopeful that, it's always been my goal to make it a full-time or part-time thing. Obviously, I do video editing freelance on the side. I do website design, because this obviously wasn't bringing in a ton of money.
Right.
So I right now, I've one of my projects is Whoseum.net. It's a site where you can find out about the latest Doctor Who merchandise. And
Thank you.
uh,
Thank you. That's what there was one question I forgot to ask, and that was it right there. And
oh,
what is
yeah,
the URL again to that?
it's Whoseum.net. So www.whoseum.net. So it's like a Doctor
Okay.
Who museum, and
Right.
it's a site where you can find out about all the latest Doctor Who merchandise without having to check 20 different sites every day, every morning.
Right.
That's what I'm doing every day, every morning, so that you can
Okay.
just go on there and find out about the latest merchandise. And so there are you know, I have Amazon affiliate links there, eBay, Forbidden Planet affiliate links there. And so, you know, that's a great way because the affiliate links don't cost you anything extra. I really like that model of, you know, community support, because for some people just don't have the extra cash right now to be like, I want to be a patron and give you money every
Right.
month, you know.
Right.
So I really like that. I don't have to, like, you know, take brand deals where it feels, you know, like I'm being forced to sell you on a product. I get some of the most hilarious people emails about, you know, do you want to, you know, sell this thing to your community? And it's just like, I don't want to sell plaid shirts to my Who crew, you
You know,
know.
I didn't know that was your site until yesterday. I was like, oh, wait a second, how could I not have realized that? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's some work there, keeping up with the merchandise. The only thing that I have to
A
keep up
lot.
with is every new book, every new audiobook, any TV episodes, as if Doctor Who's on TV very much anymore.
Yeah.
Comics. I
Yep.
have to keep up with what's coming out because of the fact
Yeah.
that the timescales catalogs all of it, and people can't review something if it's
Wow.
not on there. And that's the
Yeah.
job I inherited with the
Good
acquisition
for you.
of
Good
the
for
timescales.
you.
Well, you say good, but
It's a lot. Well,
it's surprisingly time consuming. You know,
it's a lot. It's a
and
lot.
there was even something that came out that I, by all rights, should have been fully aware of, and it wasn't listed on the site. So I had to scramble. It had just been released the day before. Somebody already reviewed it. I had no clue because I missed that somehow, and I had
Right.
to scramble and go put it on there. But listen, thank you for also for your being kind in explaining that you do understand why Patreon users leave, because I'm one of
Yeah.
those
Oh,
people. You know,
absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
will get excited about something and I'm like, oh, this just rocks. I'm going to go sign up for Patreon on this one. And then a couple months later, get to looking at your whole Patreon list and how much money is going out. And then you have to
Yeah.
select some to drop. So I know that other
Yeah.
people do that. There is another one I'm going to have to drop pretty soon because it's actually kind of expensive, and
Yeah.
but it's really good content. It's
Yeah.
you get some extremely rare hardcover copies that are not sold to the public
Oh.
by being a Patreon
Mm.
follower. Um,
Oh,
but I'm
that's
kind of having to
amazing.
do the math on that. I'll show you one of those. In fact,
Yeah. Yeah.
when I get to the point of editing this video and putting the links down there, well, as I'm doing the links, I'm going to remember to send you. I'll show you one of those hardbacks. They've got to
Please
be rare.
do.
They have to be
Yeah.
rare. It's a Doctor Who spoof. It's a
Oh.
comedy charity Doctor Who book series, and the only way you can get hardbacks is to be a Patreon sponsor. So they're not printing very many of those.
Wow.
They've got to be rare. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm on the fence there. You know, do I eliminate that
Yeah.
Patreon and save that money per month,
Mm.
or
Yeah.
I kind of want the book? So anyway, all right. So here let's you know, we probably should wrap it up because I only committed 60 minutes, or you only committed 60 minutes, and we're past that. Is it okay to go
That's
ahead and
okay.
finish the next couple of questions?
Oh,
Okay. Okay, thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you. And
I'm having a blast.
yeah, me too. Me too. And I'm sorry for running over. It's we've ran considerably over. I was not watching the time here. So, okay, let's get to I said that the other question about bullying was going to be the most negative thing I asked you today. There is one more kind of negative thing, and it's rights. And I've ran into rights issues. I had forgotten about them. The
Mm.
worst thing that ever happened was back, I would say, around the year 2004 or 5, something like that, when I had uh we'll just say I was using my brother's YouTube channel, okay? And you're going to
Oh.
see why I'm saying that here. There were YouTube was the Wild West, and my brother had a YouTube channel, okay? This was back
Mhm.
when all of the cussing and profanity was fully allowed down in the comments, and you couldn't edit it out, and you'd see those words. And if we think dark enough, those words, okay, we would see all of that garbage. And
Mhm.
so it kind of had the effect of, I think, kind of making people not really care about anything. It was kind of a, don't want to say ripe with piracy, but it was a copyright infringement playground, I guess, for people that
right.
didn't care. And there is nothing right or correct or defensible about using somebody else's copyrighted work, because that actually is theft. And some countries may not agree with it, but that is how it's considered in our country. And so for someone to steal somebody else's comment, or I'm sorry, content,
Yes.
I'm still thinking about all those horrible comments, but for someone to steal somebody else's content, be it a song or a video or
Mhm.
whatever, is actually against the law. And what I had done on accident is I had found a clip, and this is back where I was telling you that YouTube had only the very grainy, small, little, slow, short videos, and it was a clip of a. Do you know what a televangelist is?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So this was a clip. I think I'll probably not use the man's name just out of kindness. I found a clip where he was preaching, and he was red-faced and sweating, and he was saying something so hateful that he was spitting while he was talking, and it was hateful towards a group of people. Okay, something that you can get kicked off of Twitter for these days. And I thought it was reprehensible, so I posted it on YouTube just to expose that guy, because he's actually kind of
Ah.
famous, and he still is. He's still on TV to this day.
Mhm.
And that's when I learned about rights. Okay.
Mhm.
Regardless of whatever hatred this man was spewing, that was not my content. Okay.
Yeah.
So and I found that out the hard way, because that company, one might think that somebody that is spreading the word of religion is doing it for good, wholesome reasons, that they want to be charitable. But
Yeah.
this content was copyrighted by a company. Okay. And that
Yeah.
company complained to YouTube, and it didn't go well. Okay. So, but
Mm.
that was a long, long time ago. And that's when I learned,
Right.
okay, you can't just, that's when I learned that taking other people's content is theft. I didn't know.
Yeah.
It actually had not occurred to me. And I've seen a lot of people make that mistake. It seems like every single song there is copyrighted. I think Happy Birthday, that song, is copyrighted. And
It-
so I've been through the thing where you upload a video and then you get the copyright thing.
Mhm.
And it's gotten better these days, where the content owners are willing to allow you to use it, but I actually don't want ads in my videos. So what happened was I uploaded a video where I had produced a song, which, yes, it is the Doctor Who theme, but it's called a cover. That is
Yeah.
legal to do. And
It is.
I did it the right way, and I licensed it. So Murray Gold, BBC, whoever has their hands open there that owns the rights to that content, they're getting money from me because I paid for it. I bought a
Mhm.
license. So
Good for you.
yeah, thank you. A lot of people don't realize that you can do that. It's called the Harry Fox Agency in New York City. And you can go
Wow.
license a song, you can pay for the license in streamable format, and you're legal. And it's not very expensive at all. So when I got the copyright thing after I uploaded the interview, I fought back, and I fought back against it and put my license number in there. Didn't hear anything back from the complainers, and the copyright thing dropped off. So
Oh, good.
what has your experience been with that? Have you had things where you didn't intend something to be perceived the way it was?
Yeah. So I have I have had one copyright strike. I believe in my history of posting on YouTube, and it happened when I did a collaboration. It was a history of Doctor Who games and Doctor Who gaming, and I did a collaboration with another person, and they sent me the video footage of them, talking about the history of Doctor Who games. And I was like, great, this is awesome. We'll use that footage and we'll edit the video. And but then I got a message from them saying, you know what, I don't like how, my video looked. Can you just use the audio? And I was like, okay. But that meant that I needed to find visuals for all of the video. And so
Okay.
I ended up using, photos of the games, of the merchandise, which is, it's the merchandise that was all right. But what got the copyright strike and was I used silent footage of a trailer, a public trailer for the one of the video games that we were talking about. And like, it's, to my knowledge, you can use trailers in, like, that's something you can repost.
I think
I
it's fair
think that's
use.
okay. I think
Who
that's
wouldn't?
fair use. Trailers
Yeah,
trailers
who
are fair
wouldn't want their
use.
trailers spread around? That's the whole point of it.
Right. And this game wasn't even like out anymore. It was an old game that wasn't even on the BBC website anymore. But using that footage got me a copyright strike. And it was back in the days when a community guideline strike and a copyright strike, those are now currently two different things. But
Right.
back then they were the same thing. They meant the same thing. So if you got 3 strikes, your channel would be deleted. So that was a
Exactly.
big deal back then. So I, thankfully I got it to go away. I don't know, I don't remember exactly how, but like I no longer have any strikes. I think and that, I have always said that I'm not going to use copyrighted material in my videos, and that's kind of a disadvantage. A lot of people, I don't know how they're getting away with it, but they use clips from Doctor Who. They use all
Yeah.
sorts of images from Doctor Who. It makes a documentary look so good, and would be so nice if I were able to, like, in a legal way, use that footage from an
Right.
episode, throw a line in here, there. But I do not. None of my content has that. I use images
Hmm.
from products because I'm promoting them. I'll use artwork there. But I've always really tried not to use copyrighted images or videos or clips in any of my videos, and that's hard. It makes making content about Doctor Who a lot harder because you can't just throw up a picture or a clip while you're talking over it, classic documentary style. So I appreciate the work you did to, like, go buy the book, because it's you know it it's hard to do your own copyright free content or the copyrighted content the right way. So I appreciate that you did that.
Well, thank you, Alex. That's I was really surprised when I learned that it was even possible to do it because the interview. Oh, you know what? Will Hadcroft, the interview with Will
Yes.
Hadcroft. At
Ah,
the end of that, I put a song which is "Breaking the Wall" by Murray Gold, which it's Doctor Who's content,
right.
or I mean it's
Right.
BBC Doctor Who's property that I guess they paid Murray Gold to make. So therefore, it's also his intellectual property. It's his art. And
Yeah.
yes, I did use it, but I licensed it, and I had someone else recreate it with the synthesizer. I had a
Oh,
cover
cool.
made that way. I wasn't
Oh,
directly all going all the way and using the real music itself, even though I think you can. But I thought it would be better to just do a cover and license it. And that was intentional because I wanted that song on Hadcroft's slideshow, because if you listen to what he said in the interview, it makes sense and it goes
mm,
along with it. But you just interviewed Will Hadcroft, who is the author of the BBC Doctor Who audio originals, The Resurrection Plant.
yes, I did. It was wonderful. I mean, what an incredible guest to interview. He was the first Doctor Who author I ever interviewed.
Me too.
And what a nice person. What a nice person, and just such a passionate fan. I've got his it's flipped. I've got a CD right in the back there. He sent me a one to unbox that was signed, and then one to give
Mhm.
away. And just such a lovely person to interview. And I guess great minds think alike. I saw
Yeah.
that his audio was coming out, and I was like, you know what? This gives me an extra chance, because I always like to be helping the person I'm interviewing out in some way. So it's like, I figured
Exactly.
if I was gonna ask an author, I want them to have something they're trying to promote. And so I was like, this looks like a good audio. I'm going to ask. And I submitted a contact form and he said yes. And it was so
Yeah.
much fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's that it's almost exactly the same here. I was when the timescales was saved, when it was going to close, and our family acquired it. One of the jobs that I picked up was being the Twitter person. And the thing is, because there hadn't been a Twitter person in the past, there was a Twitter function that was coded into the software, but there was never a person. It was just kind of like a bot where it would announce new releases and that was it. And we were talking about how to try to give the site a little bit more of a personality. And one of those things was, why not have somebody just interact with people on Twitter? And I did not want to do that. I did not like Twitter. I had never really used it much, and I had kind of a negative opinion of it. And I, at some point, said, why don't we just go ahead and completely disconnect Twitter from the timescales, get it off of the main page, because I don't want to use it, because in 10 years from now, people won't even remember what Twitter was. Now, that's what I believed. And now I think I'm wrong, because it seems like a lot of these people that would have been largely inaccessible in the past due to all of the garbage going on those legacy forums are now on Twitter. And one day I was staring at my computer screen and all of a sudden it said, Will Hadcroft followed you. And I'm like, wait a second, why is that name familiar? Well, the reason it was familiar was because when I was doing my other unpaid job of cataloging for the timescales, I had seen his name and I had to manually type it into the site because it wasn't in there. And the reason it wasn't in there is because he had not released a Doctor Who story before. So that's
Yes.
why I remembered I had to physically type his name into the code of the site as an author. And then all of a sudden it was just like, it may have been the same day. And then all of a sudden here he is on the screen. I'm like, wait a second. Okay, so this is a Doctor Who author that just followed our Twitter. I want, and he's never had anything out before. I know that. I wonder if he would do an interview. So I did ask him, and he said, yeah. And that was the point of freaking out, going, oh my God, what am I going to ask him? Having to make the questions sheet. It was a real education. And then I decided, you know what? Why not just make it a series? Why interview just Will Hadcroft? So I asked Georgia Cook, who was the newest Big Finish Doctor Who author at that time. So there was these two people, Will Hadcroft, the newest BBC Doctor Who author, and Georgia Cook, the newest Big Finish Doctor Who author. And I got both of them to agree to let me to interview them.
Wow.
Wonderful, lovely people. I should have interviewed Georgia a lot longer, but I didn't know what I was doing. Like I still don't know what I'm doing. So I didn't have enough questions for it. And it only ran for 20 minutes. And then with Will Hadcroft, it was 3 hours. So that was my experience with interviewing Will Hadcroft and Georgia Cook. And it's just gone on from that. And one thing I've learned after interviewing somebody, I really love their work. It adds a whole new level of complexity to after you have interviewed someone. It gives you a whole new deep appreciation of all of their work. Even Georgia Cook's art I love now because I kind of a little bit know the person behind it. And she's a really good artist. And now I run into Will Hadcroft on YouTube live broadcasts all the time, and it's just great. I'm like,
it's amazing. Hey, I know that person.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's hard to know how many questions to prepare for somebody, because I've done interviews where it's like I'm glad I had like a ton of questions prepared, and then other ones where sometimes it's the type of person you ask like one question and it'll get a conversation started and you won't have to ask another question for another 10 minutes or something, and so that's also great as well. But who else we've both interviewed? It's not out yet on my channel yet, but we've both interviewed Andy Lane.
Really?
For the Code is Flesh, coming out, it came out in October. And so I had a wonderful interview with him as well. So it was like great minds.
Yeah, that's really nice. Now the Code of the Flesh, Do you know that he actually revealed the name of his next Doctor Who audio that's coming out next October of 23? Do you know
Yes,
that?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
so
I'm
exciting.
not going to say it. I'm not going to say it right now. He can say it if he wants to, but I'm not. I'm not going to be spreading around. What do you call it? Leaks or
Yes.
yeah. But
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
Andy, I had ran into him a couple of years ago. In fact, Andy Lane or Andrew Lane, one in the same, uh, is probably plays a well, not probably. He played a very strong role in me deciding to interview people, and the reason being is that I had posted something somewhere positive about his audio that I had listened to, and he commented on it. He said something to me directly, and I was like, wow, this is cool. This is a Doctor Who author that just said something to me.
Yeah.
It made an impression, and I never forgot that. And the thing was, he seemed so genuinely excited
Yeah.
about his new Doctor Who story.
Oh,
So
yes.
what ended up happening is, after I interviewed Will Hadcroft, Andy Lane was the next author to release a story in that exact same series. So
Same
it
thought.
seemed like natural progression that, well, I guess I need to interview Andy Lane also. So I
Yeah.
did the stupidest thing ever and flat out asked him in public on his Twitter. I mean, I didn't DM him, I didn't email him or anything like that. I just flat out, I don't remember what I said. I may have just said, "Hey, Mr. Lane, I want to interview you," and he agreed to it. He posted some little joke. So and
He's
it
so
took a
funny on
while. It
Twitter.
took a while for us to
Yeah.
catch up and be able to do it, but he is hilarious, and
Yes.
anybody should definitely follow him on Twitter. He seems like he's
Oh,
awake
yes.
quite a bit.
Yeah. Yes.
He's always
Oh,
always on there. There's some really fun people to meet on
I
there.
here I used his website contact form and was like, oh, like very
Okay.
professional about it. But you just went for it. You're like, hey,
Yeah, I
amazing,
really shouldn't be
amazing.
doing, yeah, I shouldn't be doing stuff like that. I felt kind of bad because if you think about it, that's kind of putting him on the spot. What's he supposed to say? And I did not intend to try to force
No,
him
you
into
you
doing
were
an interview.
excited.
I was exactly, and I think he realized that. So you have also done some. Oh, we're almost done. So hang in there, and thanks for surviving this long.
Oh, of course, this is
You
fun.
you do reaction videos to new releases. I think everybody's seen you on the screen. Let me see if I can do it. Is that right?
Yes.
Did I get it? Yeah, there.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
that right there. Okay. So that's pretty much the full gamut of things on YouTube. You got the unboxing, the reactions, and all of that. Um, are you going to keep your content pretty much set as it is, or is there anything else that you're going to expand out into?
I mean, like I was telling you with the Great British Baking Show spoof, that was like a whole different area. I never had to film myself and try and bake and create something at the same time. That was a juggling act. So I don't know what's next, but I know that like something's always cooking, something's always, gonna be coming next. And I definitely think that, whether it's TikTok or different platforms, they give you different creative stuff to try out, and so that I always think is a fun part of it. So yeah,
Okay.
there's something coming. I just don't know what it is.
Okay,
That's the
cool.
short answer.
I think I'm gonna start playing around TikTok a little bit more. My brother will send me some hilarious viral stuff on there quite often,
So
in fact.
funny, so
That's pretty,
funny.
that's pretty genius. People used to complain about YouTube videos being too short, and then all of a sudden the creators of TikTok nailed it. People, yeah, they want to watch something for 12 seconds that's going to make you laugh. I mean, there's a niche for that.
Yeah,
I haven't made
definitely.
one yet. I'm going to keep an eye on you. I want to see how you deal with that. So as soon as you start
Well,
releasing those, I'll learn how you're doing it.
Well, you know what? There's a lot of people having success releasing like interview clips and stuff on TikTok as well, like a 1 to 3 minute clip of an interview with somebody and linking to their full interview on YouTube. So I definitely see that as
Oh,
something that you could do that could be
yeah.
very fun.
Yeah, I've actually
Yeah.
really seriously considered that. What I was telling you earlier about the fact that I don't really edit because I'm too lazy, and I have not learned how. That's really the main reason. I would edit more if I knew how to use software better. But one thing that I use to justify that mindset is that with the large interview, it may be too big for somebody to watch all at one time on YouTube. But yes, you can take clips out of that and make a little short like that
Yeah,
to
yeah.
advertise the actual real lengthy interview itself, such as let me think of an example, like Nigel Fairs. Like, let's say you
Mm,
wanted to take who I have interviewed, an absolutely lovely person, and he knows Louise Jameson. And I think that there's probably a lot of people that don't know that. So for that right there, it would be good to take a clip of Nigel Fairs saying that, Louise Jameson is my bestie or something like that, because a lot of people
wow,
don't know that. So
I
that's
didn't
just
know
one
that.
small example. And
Exactly.
so that's a good idea. Thank you. And I think that you might have just motivated me a little bit more to just go ahead and get that done, since I had been considering it.
Nice.
So
Nice.
how do you feel about the now when you get this question, we're almost done. So how do you feel about the current state of Doctor Who? And that would be with RTD2, Russell T Davies. I didn't coin that, somebody else did, and that's great.
Isn't it?
And you got David Tennant coming back, and then of course Shuti Gatwa taking over for Jodie Whittaker. He's the next real official doctor, I believe.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
do you think about all of it?
I am so excited. I mean, I seem to be saying every single year, every single month, just like what a time it is to be a Doctor Who fan. And that just seems to be getting truer and truer all the time. I really enjoyed the entire like 13th Doctor era, the Chris Chibnall era. I've just really enjoyed watching it. So, I was sad to see it come to an end, but to have, my favorite Doctor of David Tennant back playing, the Doctor again is a dream come true. And I think ever since the 50th anniversary, which got in our minds like, oh, wouldn't it be fun to bring back classic doctors or classic companions or previous new series doctors or previous new series companions. Ever since then, we've been saying as a family, like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if they got Russell T Davies back to write an episode, or if they brought like, David
Right.
Tennant back for an episode or something. And
Yeah.
now they are
Right.
actually
Yeah.
doing that. And that's so fun and so amazing. And so I'm really excited. I'm excited for the build up to the 60th. I wasn't on YouTube for the 50th anniversary.
Hmm.
But it was so fun because prior to that, nobody in my life knew really what Doctor Who was, but people were becoming aware of it as it was being celebrated in the US for its 50th anniversary. So I'm excited to see, that spotlight back on Doctor Who as it hits its 60th. And of course, Ncuti Gatwa is just going to be amazing as the 15th Doctor now, and I'm so excited for that as well. And when the 13th Doctor came on, what was really cool was seeing how my sister absolutely loved her and felt represented by a woman playing the Doctor. And
Hmm.
so, me, I have 50 years of somebody who looks like me playing the Doctor, right? Well, they don't talk like me because I'm American, but and they're
Right.
British, but
Yeah.
that's always been amazing. So I was able to like, you know, extra enjoy the Jodie Whittaker era because I got to see how much my sister was enjoying it. So I think that for Ncuti Gatwa, he's going to really be a wonderful representation of along with Joe Martin for any people of color to be able to see somebody in the role that looks like them, and that's amazing. And I'm so excited for that. And he's also going to be just an amazing actor, and Russell T Davies, great writer. So I could not be more excited for the future of Doctor Who because I've been enjoying it since 2007 and loving it. So
Right. That's awesome,
yeah.
Alex. Yeah, with Shuti, one thing that I like how well you put that. I saw an interview of him. It was just a couple of days after his role had been announced,
Yeah.
and I was really surprised by how humble he was.
Yes.
He made a couple of mistakes in the interview, which made it obvious that he didn't quite have the knowledge Doctor Who that you and I may have, okay? Which
Right.
that's
Yeah.
innocent. That then it was
Yeah.
really it was that got my attention. I'm like, huh, sounds like before he starts filming, he better go read Wikipedia or something. But his genuine humility at nailing that role, because that doesn't
Yeah.
make him part of Doctor Who history. That makes him part of British cultural history forever.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, in fact, it was Theo, a Doctor Who author for Big Finish that goes by the professional name Sophie Isles,
Yes.
mentioned
Yes.
that when I interviewed Theo last week, that being a Doctor Who author is not just putting your name down in Doctor Who history. Doctor Who is a part of British culture. So it's
Yeah.
actually putting your name down in British culture. And Shudi Gatwa didn't nail an author position. He got the lead. And
Yes.
I think that he's got a big fan following that's going to come with him. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, I one of the things that struck me in the videos he's been doing, also with Millie Gibson, and the two of them, I think, are just going to hit it off really well. But what I loved is he's got this professionalism, this real like just wonderful personality, and the way that he was just being so supportive of Millie and being so nice. I was just like, this is a really good sign that, you know, we've got a really wonderful person playing the Doctor, and now the new companion as well, who was almost younger than the new series itself. That threw me for a loop. That, I
yeah, I
mean,
didn't realize that either. Yeah.
she's like 274 days younger than the new series of Doctor Who. We almost had a companion younger than the new series of Doctor Who,
Yeah.
which will make you feel old.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. One thing that people have their opinions of the Jodie Whittaker era, and everyone's entitled to their opinions. Imagine Doctor Who fans having opinions, right?
Oh,
And
wild.
yeah, and I think that um I, I will look back at the Jodie Whittaker era and I will appreciate it. And that's just pretty much sums it up, because I enjoy Doctor Who as entertainment and I really don't take it so seriously to get a real opinion. But I think that her series suffered from some poor ideas, and I think it suffered from poor timing when it comes to music or incidental sound for television series as a whole. I think there's a trend. I don't know if you remember back when it was cool to film a movie, making it look as amateurish as possible, where the camera's all shaking around like crazy, almost enough to make you sick. Well, that was a trend of what was considered to be cool with film production at some time. Thank goodness it went away. Now, it seems to me, and I'd like to know if you have recognized this consciously, there's a trend in modern television where instead of it having incidental music, it has this ooh, this ooh, this weird, disturbing, undulating sounds. And if you think about the Jodie Whittaker era, she warned people before it ever aired, and she made a comment. She said there's a lot of quiet time in these stories. That may not be exactly the way she said it, but she said something like that. And what it was is, and I'm not criticizing the music composer, Sagen Akinola. I'm not criticizing him because he did what the BBC ordered. Okay, he produced what the BBC ordered. But if you look at the Jodie Whittaker era, there's almost no incidental music. Now, would that have worked back in David Tennant's first era? You know, when you had the big band and Rose had her own theme, and there was a lot of brass with the running. And then in the Jodie Whittaker era, it seems to have been unfortunately dragged down by a trend of poor incidental music. Do you see that?
Well, you know, I can't say that I noticed that until you're talking about it. So I would have to like, you know, go back and pay careful attention to that. What When I watched the episodes, they were on BBC America, and what I did notice was that the balance between the voices and the audio and whatever, whether it was just the sound effects or sometimes it would seem the music was, it was, the music was so loud, or the sound
Mhm.
effects were so loud and the voices were really quiet. So for me,
Right.
like somehow in the way either BBC America broadcast it, or or maybe it's just the way that it was balanced and produced, it the way when we were watching it, sounded hard to hear. So I wonder if there was some either intentional choices to master it a particular way with the sound editing, or like you're saying with the music. Music has a huge impact on Doctor Who, and I think Murray Gold, we were
Yes.
so lucky to have him. He was a musical genius, and I appreciate the all the impact that music can have, or a lack thereof. So
Mhm.
yeah, I do think it's incredibly important. And yeah, I would think it's a shame if either it was too loud or if there wasn't enough of it, for sure.
Okay. So I think that Murray Gold is coming back with Russell T Davies. I'm pretty sure.
Really?
Yeah,
That
it
would be
seems like,
amazing.
yeah, I know at least two or more people have told me that Russell T Davies takes Murray Gold wherever he goes. So
Mm.
they obviously know more about it than I do, because I never realized that. But I think that we may have good days ahead as far as music. But okay, so you actually just caused me to think of one more question.
Go
You
for
being an
it.
American, this is something I can't ask Doctor Who fans very often, because I
Mhm.
don't really know any American Doctor Who fans, to be honest. I think my neighbor is, but my wife is. But you being an American, when you started watching Doctor Who, did you have difficulty understanding what they were saying because of the British accents?
Yes, sometimes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
Yes. So it's not just me.
No, no.
Okay.
Even, oh my gosh, I think even this season, John Bishop's accent as Dan, I could pretty well keep up with it, but I definitely think at times we were like, we wish we could watch it with captions, and because we're like,
We
what
do.
did you just say? Because sometimes there
Hmm.
are references to or sayings, and it's like it just goes right over my head. But over time I've gotten much better at being able to follow it. But yeah, absolutely, some
Okay.
accents, some lines, oh, I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
understand it.
Right. Yeah, we watch Doctor Who with captions all the time when it's available. And it seems
Yeah.
people may think it's crazy. The people may think it's crazy for someone that speaks primarily English to be watching captions in English. What? Okay, well, is there anything else that you want to add? Maybe something that I did not ask that you'd like to answer?
Mm. I think that what I would like to ask when I interview people is, actually, I'm going to flip it around and say I forget as an interviewer to promote my stuff enough, and so I would like to ask you, what's the project that you want to promote right now? What is, tell people about the time skills, tell people about what your
Mm,
YouTube channel, subscribe, turn
okay.
on the notification bell.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you, Alex. I don't really know the goal. I'm trying to set an example. When you have little kids that have expressed a desire to make YouTube, you can go about it two ways. You can tell them no, that they're too young, and possibly discourage them,
Mhm.
or you can set an example. So I think that you see where that's going. And after the first couple of people agreed to do the interviews, it's gotten addicting, actually. The process of interviewing someone, and I'm sure that you probably know this may be exactly the same with you, is the first thing you do is you find the person to interview, and it's got to be somebody that you're interested in. And
Yeah.
then you have to ask them and wait to hear back. Okay. And then all of a sudden one morning, there's that email and it's like, yes. Okay. And then the next stage is freaking out, going, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? I don't want to
Oh
do this.
yes.
Thinking they probably don't want to do it. Maybe they'll cancel. And then
Yes.
you've got to do the questions sheet and try not to miss anything there. There would be nothing more embarrassing than interviewing a television actor and forgetting that they won an Academy Award or something like that. I mean,
Oh
there's things
yes.
you can't screw up.
Lots
And
of research.
yeah, lots of research. And then then comes the interview, and then you do it, and it is so much fun. I can't
It
describe it.
is.
It is a real pump up. I mean, I'm going to
Yeah.
be on cloud nine the rest of the day just because we did an awesome interview. You know,
Yeah, me too.
yeah. So that's where the interview thing is going, and I want people to know that, because in the past the timescales, it wasn't very personal. It was cold and bland. Nobody even knew who created it or why. And I think that today there are venues which can and will help add a personality to a site. And
Yeah.
I think that the timescales is growing and picking up more subscribers and more reviews, perhaps in part that now it's more family friendly. I hope. I really should be reading the reviews to make sure that there's not bad stuff on there. But now that it is family friendly, and now that people can see that it is just a website run by real people, you know, one of these days
Hmm.
my brother will do some interviews. So it's not going to be just
Yeah.
me. And what we're going to do with the site is we're going to, once our kids are grown up, we're going to give it to them. So
Oh, that's amazing. I love that.
yeah, that's what it's for. And and that's what the interviews are for. So thank you for turning that around. Um,
Of course.
Tell everybody your YouTube channel name again, please.
Yep. So my YouTube channel is the Doctor Who Guide. That's Guide, as in a guidebook. There's a wonderful channel called the Doctor Who Guy, which a lot of people in the past have thought that that's what my channel name was, because I
Okay.
didn't pronounce the D enough. But yeah, so another amazing channel to check out. But yeah, so the Doctor Who Guide, you can find out about all the latest Doctor Who merchandise over on Whoseum.net. And eventually we're going to have the ability to keep track of your collection on there as well. So
Oh,
that's very
nice.
exciting too.
Nice.
And my goal is to have a backlog of all the merchandise as well. And also to like help it have some like element of it guiding you to what to read next, what to watch next. It's kind of like similar to how on the timescales, what I love that you have on there is like recommendations for like, if you have listened to this first, listen to that first. That's really
Right.
a helpful thing. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's the original programmer did quite well by putting that feature in. It is helpful because a lot of the Doctor Who stories are are related and cross over in ways. Um,
Yeah.
okay, well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. And what I was wondering, let's leave a little time capsule message to people to be able to find in the future. To any young people that are watching this, to try to learn from it, to see what these people were doing back in 2022. Um, and let's say that they have a dream or a goal of becoming a YouTuber in whatever state it ends up being in the future. And let's say they're looking to you to learn from as a content creator, someone who's successful, as you are. What would you advise them of? What's the best thing you could think of, just sending them a little bit of advice?
I heard this piece of advice on TikTok, and it stuck with me. And I don't know the original creator because this person was quoting somebody else. But the advice was, let someone else tell you no. There are so many times where I think we limit ourselves by saying, oh, Will Hadcroft, he's a big Doctor Who author. He probably wouldn't want to do an interview with me. I've not done other interviews before, this, that, the other thing. Let somebody else tell you no. So just ask for the opportunity. And instead of telling you yourself no, let someone else tell you no. Um, you know, can't hurt to ask. I've asked for
Right.
interviews, people haven't gotten back to me. I've asked for
Yeah.
interviews, someday, people will say no, no thanks.
Mhm.
I've applied for different projects. Nope, didn't want it, so like let someone else tell you no, because you'll be surprised, you'll be shocked, I think, at the amount of times that the answer isn't no. And Will Hadcroft
Right.
wants to do an interview with you, or
Yeah.
Andy Lane says yes, or Georgia Cook, whoever it might be.
Right.
um that's my piece of advice.
Okay. You know what? And I'm going to second that. And here's something that you might find very surprising. I have not yet had anybody tell me no, that they do not want to do an interview. Okay. But that's not the whole story. I have had people that haven't said anything, that they did not answer. Okay. One of them is very, very famous, and I think you may know who I'm talking about. And I would really like to interview him, partially due to his age. Okay. There is one person on my list that I really would give anything to interview. But I haven't ever gotten a no. I have
Same.
where here's the way I see it. I went to contact a new Big Finish author, who was just part of a anthology charity that was just released, and I went directly to her website and filled out the form. It seems like everybody's got a form these days, and I did not hear anything back. So I followed up twice and kept telling them that I want to interview you. And do you know that they have been kind enough not to tell me no at this point? Okay, so I haven't heard no yet, but I'll wait for it. And thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, Alex, I consider you to be quite the success, and I really appreciate the many hours of wholesome entertainment that you provided for me since the summer of 2016, apparently. I consider you to be successful, and it's an honor to have been able to speak with you and interview you, and I've learned some really interesting things. So, and I think people are going to enjoy this. So, thank you
Thank
very much.
you. Thank you so much for having me. You are the first person to interview me ever. So
Nice.
thank you so much for making it a wonderful experience, and
Yeah.
for being the first. You're going down in history. One of the first to subscribe, one of the first to interview me. This is amazing. So thank you.
All right. Have a nice day, Alex. It was great. Very
Thank
much
you.
fun. Okay. Take
Bye.
care.